Yes, the revelations by Mr. Shawn Hinds, they're very, very interesting. Because not just of what Shawn Hinds says, but the implications of what he says. You recall 2 weeks ago when we met here and I was addressing the current spike in crime and our response to it, that I said that we are not just going to be going after the ordinary man, the common criminal, but the intellectual authors of crime, the people who are behind the scenes that sometimes direct these activities. And I can say to you that over the last 2 weeks that we have been doing, the police that is, they have been doing exceptional work in this regard, in coordinating and collaborating with intelligence and operations, and as such, they have actually broken the back, as the Minister of Public Security would have said to you, broken the back of at least 2 gangs that have been operating. This can only be done when you act on sound intelligence. And our efforts over the last couple of weeks has been to beef up our intelligence services, our intelligence resources, to provide the kind of operational intelligence for the police force. So Mr. Hinds' revelations, in our view, fits into the mold that says that they are intellectual authors of crime, and that, as Mr. Hinds said to you, he had some linkages higher up, and definitely as a government we will have to pursue those statements that have been made by Mr. Hinds. But furthermore, I will encourage Mr. Hinds to come in to us and provide some more information, because I think he did speak to the reporter Travis Chase and gave Travis Chase some information. But certainly the state apparatus will be interested in following up these leads more aggressively and to asking him some additional questions. You see, such as, I mean, it is common knowledge that he was the security guard for the former the town clerk, and that he was in the security detail of a former presidential candidate, not of the APNU or AFC. So it is interesting to know that this is something that Mr. Hinds is basically making public as to whether those persons to whom he had provided his service were aware of that background which he did in fact disclose to the reporter. But we are interested in background, but we're more interested in what is happening now. And I believe Mr. Hinds can provide us with some linkages, some further information that could show us why these crimes that took place recently did take place, and who are the persons who are actually giving the directions. Shawn Hinds is noted for saying that he was not a lone operator, and that is what I said to the press. These people do not operate on their own. There always is some backward linkage. And it is when you discover the backward linkage that the forward linkage dries up. And that is how we will be able to fight crime, by getting at the higher-ups, the intellectual authors, and the providers of the instruments of death. It is when we are able to do that that we'll break the back of crime. I'm sure that where we are now, Minister Ramjatan has already said, Vice President Ramjatan, that we are making tremendous strides. And what we want to say to the law-abiding citizens of this country is that the security forces are they're working day and night to guarantee and ensure your safety. And what we are saying also again to the criminals, that watch it, we are on the run. We have you on the run, and we're going to follow you up wherever you are. We're going to make sure that this country is safe. And whoever commit these crimes or help in planning them and helping in the execution, that you're all part of a criminal enterprise, we are going to get at you.
Just a quick follow-up. What about the safety of Mr. Hinds, and if you could address also whistleblowers legislation or not?
Mr. Hinds is known for protecting himself. Mr. Hinds, you know, did serve a period of incarceration, and he did say, remember the famous statement about soup and milk tea, and milk with tea and tea with milk and all of that. Mr. Hinds can protect himself, but what I can say to you is that Mr. Hinds is welcomed. He's welcome to go into the police if he feels otherwise, and he needs some other kind of protection for what he has. He must feel free to come and say to us that, look, I have some additional information, I need to speak to somebody. Mr. Hinds by now would have known how to take care of himself. But it is the information in which we're interested in. And Mr. Hinds most likely have nothing to fear from us, other than maybe if he discloses his connection with any criminal activity. I mean, he can look forward to some period of incarceration. But I'm not offering any amnesty whatsoever to anybody who admittedly is involved in a criminal act or criminal activities, and then just say, well, look, I told you this and I told you that, therefore I should be exempted. Any such arrangement will have to be made with the police and the relevant authority with respect to this. But what I can say to you is that the intelligence arrangements that are in place now are basically working independently of statements made by Shawn Hinds and that type. So we welcome anybody who comes in with information. We welcome you. You don't have to go to the radio and the television to announce your story there. You can come quietly and say to us, look, I have some information which we will follow up. So before, if you don't go to the press, if you don't go to the TV and so on, to give us your story in the news, and then come to ask me about what? Come to us first and say, we'd like to speak to you. And we might consider it, but you can't go on the television and the news and all over the place, and you admit to certain activities which are unlawful, and expect that this lawful government will give you lawful cover.
Minister Harman, Mr. Hinds also made the allegation that the Criminal Investigation Department would provide his squad with a number of weapons for them to carry out their tasks, their duties. In the event that there is an investigation in such a matter, are we going to ask the CID to investigate the CID?
Well, you don't try the devil in hell. If an allegation is made against the CID, you can't tell the CID to investigate themselves. There are different levels within an organization that can deal with these things. But in the event that what Mr. Hinds was talking about was a long time ago, it might very well be that you have a fresh CID now that is not tainted with that history. But what I can say to you is that the allegations that we made that are serious, and are serious enough for us to launch an independent investigation, independent of the entities that have been named in his state.